going to be talking about variation in this section. And in Algebra 1, we're dealing with direct variation. So I'm going to start with that one first. And the a in this equation is constant. It's always going to be the same number. And then inverse variation will look like this. And then lastly, we have joint variation. And that's where we have more than one, we have more than two variables going on. So we have a z involved now. And that's what the joint variation will look like. So our first problems that we're going to be talking about, it says, tell whether x and y show direct variation, inverse variation, or neither. And there should be no comma right here. So here we have the first example, and we have x, y equals 1/5. Now we're talking about direct or inverse, so that means we have to solve for y. It has to look like either one of these first two equations that I wrote. And as you can tell, it does not right now, so we need to solve for y. So we divide both sides by x. We have 1/5 over x, where this would be the a, and this is the x. And once we do that, we have to look back at the equation or the general formula that I gave you and figure out which one of these that it looks like. You can tell that the a is on top over the x. So this would be inverse variation. Okay, now the second example, we have y over x equals 8. And again, we need to solve for y. When we do this one, we need to get rid of the divided by x part. The only way to do that is to multiply by x. And if you look back at that first page that I gave you, this is direct variation, because it's in the form of y equals ax. Okay, one more example. Okay, again, we're going to solve for y. So if we subtract the x, do we have any equation that looks like that? We have a division and then a multiplying. So no, there's no subtraction going on here with direct or inverse variation. So this would be a neither. Okay, now the next set of directions say the variables x and y vary inversely. So automatically your brain should tell you this is the equation that we're dealing with. Use the given values to write an equation relating x and y, and then find y when x equals 3. So in the book, they're going to be giving you some information, and it'll look something like this. And what we have to do is plug this in so that we can get our constant here, because we don't know what that is yet. So we're going to plug in the 1, where the x is, and the 9, where the y is. And we're going to solve for that a. So to get rid of divided by 1, we multiply by 1. So our a is going to equal 9. What we're going to do now is we're just going to rewrite the equation with the y equals a over x, but in place of the a, because we know it now, will be the 9. Okay, so we just used the values that they gave us to write the equation. That's the first part. And then we have to plug in 3 for x. And we know how to do that. And y equals 9 divided by 3, which is just 3. So there's the second part, and here's the first part. Okay, let's try one more. This is the given information that you'll see in the book. And again, we're still talking about inversely. So we're going to set our equation up to look just like this over here. The y is 2. The a is what we're going to figure out. And the x is 7. Now we just have to solve for a. So we're going to multiply both sides by 7. And a equals 14. And when we go to rewrite the equation, we'll write everything the exact same way except for a will be 14. So here is our equation. There's the first part. And now we plug in 3, up here in the directions, in for x. And you can give me the decimal if you'd like, or you can keep this fraction form because it doesn't reduce. And I'll just keep it fraction form for now. Okay, now we're going to write an equation relating x, y, and z, given that z varies jointly with x and y. And the key word you want to point out is jointly. Remember that equation. Oops, already messed up. You get in the habit of writing y equals, it's hard to transition back. So there's the jointly variation, general equation, and here's the given information that we would have from the book. And we want to plug everything in so that we can solve for our a. And so the z is 12. The a we don't know. The x is 8. And the y is 6. Remember, this is all being multiplied. So I'm just going to simplify things up a little bit. And then solve for a. So our a is going to equal this fraction, which can be reduced to 1/4. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite the equation. Oh, and there I go again. Y equals, it should be z equals the a, x, y. So there's the first part of the problem. And now they want us to find the z when x equals -4 and y equals 5. So we're going to take this equation we just found, and in place of the x, we're going to write -4. And in place of the y, we'll write the 5. And if you type this all in the calculator, of course we want parentheses around that fraction, we're going to get z equals -5. So there's the second part of the problem. Okay. Next example is same thing. We're going to do the jointly. So again, we're looking at this equation here. And the given information from the book is this. So we're going to plug everything in that we're given. And we're going to just clean everything up. That should be a negative. And then we're going to solve for a. And that fraction is a positive now, and it'd be 1/14. Okay, so now once we have our a, which is our constant, we're going to plug the a back in up here. So we're going to rewrite this equation with just the a. There's the equation. Now we're going to plug some information in from the problem they give us, -4 and 5. And of course we want to put parentheses around that fraction if we're using the calculator. And when we do, I get a fraction that is -10/7. If you had the decimal, that'd be fine too. So there's a second part. Okay, here's a problem on your own that I would like you to do, and you'll get the extra credit point on top of the 2 for just having notes. So the variables x and y vary inversely. I want you to figure out which equation you're going to use just by looking at that first sentence. And you're going to write an equation relating x and y, and then find the y when x equals -4. And there is 2 pieces of information you would need, which comes from the book, and these are it.